there's the lovely lady. And I did sort of feel I was knuckling in, but I'm afraid I just did it. And it was partly because I would just love to do it. And also that I assume that Nandavani may have other opportunities to introduce Dharmagatu. So Dharmagatu, he who sings the Dharma, and I wonder whether at times, whether it's not that the Dharma sings through Dharmagatu. The Dharma just seems to be his life, and it gives him great joy. I feel it has a beautiful sense of kalyana for him, both for himself, but also for others. And he hopes to offer that kalyana to others. And he has the gift of giving very surprising talks. I remember a dragon that suddenly appeared in one talk. It was very surprising indeed. And they're talks that really focus on the Dharma, but also really engage. So I just see Kalyana in Dharmagatu's life, and that, of course, is the theme that we're just looking at in different ways at the moment. And he's such a good friend to so many of us and goes out of his way to encourage and invite and in any way he can guide and help. So I'm really looking forward to this talk. Over to you, Dharmagatu.
Yeah, thanks, Nagashuri, and hello to everybody. And by the way, it's great having a Naga for a friend and a mentor. All the best Tibetans do, of course. And so if you ever get the chance, take on a Naga, or rather they take on you, and it's worthwhile. Now, in true Triratna fashion, I'm going to begin with a poem. And while you're listening to the poem, what I'd ask you to do is just listen for any lines that really resonate with you. Okay? And the poem's by W.H. Auden. Looking up at the stars, I know quite well that for all they care, I can go to hell. But on earth, indifference is the least we have to dread from man or beast. How should we like it were the stars to burn with a passion for us we could not return? If equal affection cannot be, let the more loving one be me. Admire as I think I am of stars that do not give a damn, I cannot now. I see them say, I miss one terribly all day. Were all stars to disappear or die, I should learn to look at an empty sky and feel its total dark sublime, though this may take me a little time. So how'd you go? For me, there's two lines in that poem that when I hear it, they really resonate so strongly. If equal affection cannot be, let the more loving one be me. Betraya Bandhu, some of you would know, says in fact the whole poem is hung around that couplet. You know, the whole thing just comes from that couplet. And in a way, I mean, what a beautiful way of expressing kalyana. When we come to this, probably our first contact with Dharma is that we hear kalyana mentioned in reference to friendship. You know, kalyana mitrata, good friends, virtuous friends, noble, admirable friends, spiritual friends, of course, beautiful friendship for the benefit of all. There's touch of the bodhisattva there. And last week, Nandavani sort of opened up the term kalyana quite a bit, and I quote him saying he spoke of beauty, goodness, virtue, aliveness, inspiration, meaning, the flavour of the spiritual life, the positive energy of awakening. So, you know, it's a word that really can encompass so much. But returning to the poem, how beautiful is Auden's capturing of that sentiment with those two lines. You know, how wonderful. What a wonderful way to be a friend. You know, let the more loving one be me. What a wonderful way to loosen up our self-clinging. What a wonderful, free, open, inspiring way to live this life. Amazing, isn't it? Really, when you think of it. If equal affection cannot be, let the more loving one be me. And that takes me actually into another poem. I'm sorry, the talk will have to wait. I got to find this one. I got to find this poem. It's really, I love it. So it's Wild Geese by Mary Oliver, and it really, it just builds on this. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscape, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. There's a few lines in that one. I find it very hard to pick out what Maitreya would see as, the lines, a few lines the poem hangs around. But one that always gets to me, and I really love to reflect on this before I meditate. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. That's just so beautiful. But that wild geese calling, harsh and exciting, oh, I love that one too. That's a beautiful line. That's just so lovely. And what a way to feel that the expression of Kalyana that Nandavani gave us last week, the positive energy of awakening. There's something really wonderfully positive in just letting the soft animal of my body love what it loves. Just sort of sitting in that positivity of Kalyana, of the great beauty. Just sitting, letting the soft animal of my body love what it loves. But often, of course, I suppose I'm not alone here, that I do struggle with some self-doubt. And I do struggle with a deficit of self-love, of loving myself and appreciating myself. And this brings me to another poem, actually, that I feel I really want to share with you. And it's a poem when I'm teaching the Metta Bhavana, the cultivation of loving kindness to newbies, I often use this poem as an intro. And I'm not saying you don't know it, but bear with me. One more poem. It's called Bluebird by Charles Bukowski. And it really speaks to me in terms of this idea of self-love and knowing ourselves. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too tough for him. I say, stay in there. I'm not going to let anybody see you. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I pour whiskey on him and inhale cigarette smoke, and the whores and the bartenders and the grocery clerks never know he's in there. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too tough for him. I say, stay down. Do you want to mess me up? You want to screw up the works? You want to blow my book sales in Europe? There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too clever. I only let him out at night sometimes when everybody's asleep. I say, I know you're there, so don't be sad. Then I put him back. But he's singing a little in there. I haven't quite let him die. And we sleep together like that with our secret pact. And it's nice enough to make a man weep. But I don't weep. Do you? So whatever it is, this bluebird that Krukowski hides in his heart, what is it? And again, the poem really is asking us, what's the bluebird hiding, that we're keeping hiding in our hearts, I suppose. And I suppose, like all poetry, the idea is we take from it what we need. And the poet just offers the poem to us, and we can take what we want. And for me, what I take from that is my vulnerability. That part of myself that I keep hidden for fear that, fear of what? Fear of being seen as human, fear of being seen with my faults and being seen as imperfect. I take, as some of you would know this, I take the newbie men on Tuesday night. And about, it's over a year ago now, there was a suggestion from one of them that we start a little early and we have a check-in. How's life going for us? How's your week been? How's things going for you? And what has amazed me about this little addition to our evening, because that's how I first saw it, is the way it has become such a special time for sharing, And the men are sharing, and what they're really sharing that really opens our heart is their vulnerabilities. They are so open and so honest. And in fact, if you need to, you can weep. And they say, they feel in this group that they can let their vulnerabilities be seen. They can let their bluebird out to sing a little. I got to say, I only wish I was as open about my vulnerability when I was their age, because it really is such a wonderful, precious gift to give to each other. And such a wonderful thing about true friendship, isn't it? Is it what kalyana really means between us humans, us beings, to let our bluebird of vulnerability, let it out to softly sing and be seen by others, to share our innermost fears, and to feel safe and truly ourselves in a group. I suppose in a way that's what Sangha might be, isn't it? To be with a group of people that share with you this ability to allow their bluebirds to come out and sing. And look, I'll leave that with you to ponder on, because I really think there's so much in that poem. There's so much about us and so forth. But before I get to my talk, look, I've got to share one more. And again, probably many of you will know this. It's another one of my favourites. I love it. Somewhere here, yes. And it's called The Summer Day, and it's by Mary Oliver. And of course, don't the Tree Rattler people love Mary Oliver? Don't we all love Mary Oliver? Yeah, so just bear with me with this one. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one that has flung itself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with this one wild and precious life? tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Whew. Well, what a line, eh? It's not so much asking what I'm going to do with my life, it's the way Mary Oliver describes this life. Wild and precious. Precious I can get, and I can ask myself, do I see every moment of this life as precious? The good, the bad, the ugly, the wonderful, And I think, this is what impermanence is about. And we're always banging on impermanence, aren't we? Nothing like impermanence, but do I need a little reminder sometimes of that? I think I do. Every moment is impermanent, and that wonderful quote from the Diamond Sutra: "Every moment of life is fleeting as a bubble on a stream, and a flash of lightning in a summer cloud." Lovely. So possibly, I just need to keep before me that thought that this every moment of this life is precious. It's impermanent. But the bit that really gives me a bit of a shake-up is wild. Your wild and precious life. Wild? What's this wild business? Hey, I'm an order member. Look, Kesa. Surely my life should be calm and peaceful, dignified and well-ordered. I should sit continually at peace. Wild? Surely the Dharma life for freedom shouldn't be wild. Wild? A wild Dharma life? A wild life? Oh, no, surely not. Yes, definitely. We should be living a wild Dharma life, Challenging, unpredictable, inspiring, alive, aware. They're those terms we were using earlier about kalyana. That's the Dharma life. The Dharma life isn't being, snoozing in the corner. That's not the Dharma life. That's not kalyana. I'm not sure, what Mary Oliver meant by that, but that's how I hear it. That's how I hear this precious life, this one wild and precious life. Live it. Be aware. Be inspired. It's not about, sitting quietly always. I mean, there's nothing more wonderful than sitting quietly, but, take on this idea of this wild and precious life. I love it. Perhaps I've not taken it the way she meant it, but then we take meaning, we take the way of seeing, we do take different roads in our life. Which brings me to another old favourite that you may well know. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for the passing there, had worn them both really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I would ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. What a way to end a poem. I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. And, is that how we really begin to know and really live kalyana, the great beauty? When we diverge and we take the road less travelled by. We diverge from this life of grasping and clinging and pushing away and aversion, deluding ourselves. It's all about me. The firmament picks fixed forever me, you know, is that life of awareness is certainly the road less travelled by. You know, where's my iPhone? Where's, you know, have I checked Facebook today? And I suppose the question we could ask ourselves, you know, has it made all the difference? Obviously you're here, so you're on that road less travelled by. Has it made all the difference? For me it has, I'm sure. The Dharma way, the way of great beauty, the way of kalyana has and is transforming this precious life of mine. Hope, and hopefully for you too, because, you know, I really think there is so much to be found in travelling the road less travelled by. But it does throw up some challenges, doesn't it? The Dharma life throws up challenges. You know, I think it's encapsulated here in the moment. This poem by Margaret Atwood, and it is that Margaret Atwood. And again, you know, I think it really it speaks something about this life, this life we're on, this pathway we're on that Robert Frost spoke of. The moment when, after many years of hard work and long voyage, you stand in the centre of your room, house, half-acre, square mile, island, country, knowing at last how you got there, and say, I own this, is the moment when the trees unloose their soft arms from around you, the birds take back their language, the cliffs fissure and collapse, the air moves back from you like a wave, and you can't breathe. No, they whisper, you own nothing. You were a visitor, time and after time, climbing the hill, planting the flag, proclaiming, we never belonged to you. You never found us. It was always the other way around. We never belonged to you. You never found us. It was always the other way around. You know, that raises, for me personally, an interesting question. And the question we often ask when we come along, isn't it? That, what brought you to the Dharma? What brought you to Dharma? We've all got our stories. But it made me think, did I find the Dharma, or did the Dharma find me? Did the Dharma sort of know of my pain and my suffering? Did the Dharma somehow know I was ready and open and needing inspiration, needing kalyana, needing the love of a true and good friend, of all that is offered, that we call the Dharma life, the Dharma living? It's really interesting. You never found us. It was always the other way round. I don't really have an answer to that. Not something I could express in clear words, but I'll leave it unspoken. And you know what? I really would like to just take this other poem around, not really knowing what I'm talking about. Isn't it funny? I said the other day, we go and talk Dharma, and we don't really quite know what we're talking about. The people who really don't know what they're talking about. So I think there's something wonderfully humorous in that, but there's also some truth in it. And this poem, I love it. It's by Kenneth White, and he calls it an untitled poem. Maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about either, but there's something in this for me. Knowing now that the life at which I aim is a circumference continually expanding through symmetry and understanding, rather than an exclusive centre of pure self, feeling the whole I seek, is centre plus circumference. And now the struggle at the centre is over. The circumference beckons from everywhere. Ooh, it's strange, isn't it? And now the struggle at the centre is over. The circumference beckons from everywhere. Oh dear, I'm looking at the time and I've run out of time, which is lucky in a way because, to be quite honest, I don't really know what white means in that. And now the struggle at the centre is over. The circumference beckons from everywhere. If someone said, well, you read the poem, explain it, I'd just have to say, I need more time on that one. I need more time to reflect on that. And in fact, probably I think I'll leave my ramblings there. In the wonderful mystery of being and the wonderful mystery of kalyana. And as I've run out of time, perhaps another time we can do a talk. And I did have a talk, and what was it on? Oh, yes, it was on kalyana and poetry. Sounds interesting. Perhaps someone else will pick it up sometime. Anyway, thank you for listening to some of my favourite poems, which is a bit indulgent, but I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandavani. You've come up trumps, as always. A delight. Do you have some questions for us?
Yeah, what I'm going to ask you to do is to just reflect on those couplets, and David's going to pop them in the chat. I was going to ask you to remember them, but just have a look at them and think, what really sort of struck me? What entered my heart in terms of kalyana and the great beauty of friendship and openness. And so they're there in the chat.
Thank you very much.
Okay. No, not that. Hang on.